Hey everybody, good morning. It looks like we're headed into the dark winter that everybody's been talking about on these prepping channels, and what I kind of expected last winter, it looks like it might be this fall or maybe this winter, and it could be next fall or winter. We don't know. We don't have time, but we do have clues, and some of those clues are housing debt. I got some notes here. Household debt is at an all-time high at $16.15 trillion. Okay, the balance of the credit cards is $46 billion. It hasn't been that high since 1999. What happened in 1999 was the dot-com bubble. I was not investing then, but I heard all about it for a while. I didn't quit hearing about it until 2008. And 2008 was the housing market crisis. But it's funny because in 2008, credit cards were going nuts too. New accounts were going nuts. We've got 233 million new accounts. Think about that just for a second. We've got 233 million new accounts, and it hasn't been like that since 2008, since the last crisis. So the balances were that of 1999 in the last bubble, and the new accounts is that of 2008. You're starting to see the next crisis. This is it. Your 16.15 household debt is made up of credit card debt, auto loans, and housing mortgages. Now, and I know a lot of people that's got a mortgage on their house, and they've got several auto loans, and they're driving a car about this far, maybe this far from what they should be. And they usually upgrade about every 9 months or a year and a half, whatever it is. I talked to somebody who said, I'd like to keep some equity in them. I don't know what that means when it comes to swapping your new vehicle for another new vehicle. But I've been there. I'll tell you the story in just a second because somebody can learn from it. I learned a lot from it. And, credit cards. It seems like people are buying credit cards because they're looking for money. It's happening. It's right now. Now, let's get to my story. I was down to my last $500. I had a brand new truck. I was 19. And I was kind of a proud person. I didn't want to ask anybody for money. And I was down to, I didn't have anything. Spent all my money on a ski boat. Just dumb stuff that I should have never done. I should have bought gold. It was like $300 an ounce back then. But that's okay. I didn't do what Mom said. I had to learn these lessons, but you can learn from my mistakes. I had to go to work at a shipyard with my buddy Uday. He was an Indian, a Hindu Indian. And when I showed up, there were 7 Hindu Indians sleeping on the floor of a 2-bedroom apartment. And they told me I could come in and not pay anything. They were going to help me, and they did. They're super kind people. I'll never forget it. Welding in a shipyard was one of the worst things I've ever done. It is bottom of the totem pole. Welding in the bottom of a ship through paint this thick, day in and day out, in ports that are about 38 inches tall or 40 inches tall or something. It was hard on a 6'3" guy. But I'm telling you this to tell you, you have to do some things that you don't want when you're in that kind of situation. I didn't want to do that. Hopefully I'll never have to do it again, but never say never. But I'm telling you this to get you into the next story that happened to me earlier. I talked about it on my welding channel. So I put myself in that bind before. Crawled out, said I'd never do it again. Well, as we get into this, fuel prices are going up. In my other business, my welding business, I have to supply the fuel, the welding rods, the grind disc, all that stuff. I'm my own business, so I have to supply it. Some people supply it for them, but in my case, I just do a rate, and this is the way it is. Well, I'm going backwards. I had to go up on my prices to cover everything that's doubled, because that's what happens when you have inflation. And I presented it to the company, and they said, they looked at me funny first, and then he's like, well, you're right. So I went up on my rates. It wasn't any big deal, right? I'm just back to where I was. I'm not making more money. That's what nobody understands. They think you're just making a number that, oh, that's just crazy. Well, no, actually, it's got me back to where I need to be. The problem is everybody else isn't where they need to be. The other welders didn't do that because they're not paying attention. A lot of people don't pay attention to these high prices. They didn't do that. They're just taking what they're given because they're working for a living. The problem with that for me is the market hadn't caught up to this debacle, this thing. So all they know is, hey, Chris is more expensive, call the other guy. Yeah, that's the way it works. So I've worked probably 4 or 5 days in the last 6 weeks, but it's okay. I have multiple streams of income. That's the thing. That's where I'm trying to get everybody to go to. Find something to flip. There's a glut of goods right now. And if you're just waking up, it really bothers me, that comment that they were using a credit card to buy food. That really, I would rather you do just about anything else than do that. It's your own decision. You do whatever you think's right. But what would be wrong with making more money and then buying food with that? Get creative. There's a glut of goods right now from Walmart, Target. You can, like the welding stingers I talked about the other day, you can make your own little side hustle and use that for food. Try to avoid credit card debt at all costs. And if you've got a little money extra, pay it off. Sell a kidney. It will bury you. Credit card debt will just eat you up. They really should be illegal. That is a last resort that should never be used. I don't know what to tell people other than get out of it and sell. Get ready. Downsize. Get ready. If your income isn't covering what you're spending, then you need to cut some fat and get ready, because if you think it's getting hard now, and it obviously is according to the debt that's going on to everybody, this is everybody around us. It's not just somebody way off. Just because you're not like that doesn't mean everybody else isn't. So keep that in mind, and everybody else is what's going to crash the system. It's not the people that are frugal and being prudent. Now, if you're just now waking up, please don't freak out and be fearful. That's the next thing I don't want you to do, because it does nothing. God gave us a sense of fight or flight. He gave us this hormone, that cortisol. When a bear's running after you, you can scale a tree, and if a minivan flips over on a grandma's, I can't talk. If a minivan flips over on her grandma's grandkid, she can jump out and deadlift the minivan off her grandkids. You're able to do that through that fight or flight cortisol spike that you get when your adrenaline's pumping and all that. Okay, so if you're scared and you're fearful, you're having these stress hormones. Fear is a stress. Stress is a fear. If you don't know anybody with lupus, stress will do all those things. It could be sun. It could be. I used to think emotional stress was just a bunch of crap. Oh yeah, I'm emotionally stressed out. Baloney. That is real as it gets. That will put you in the hospital. It'll kill you. And I didn't really realize that until my wife got diagnosed with lupus, and she's my person, so I'm really careful to watch her and what she's going through, what she's doing, and if she gets too much sun, it's like more likely to flare up. If she eats certain things, if she gets stressed, any kind of stress, including emotional, fear, anything like that. Now, it's not like that anymore because she's pretty much got it under control with diet, but all this is a cumulative effect, and the point is you're not going to make the best decisions if you're afraid and fearful. If you think this thing's going to happen tomorrow, well, it very well could, but it's probably not. You might have a little time. So make some decisions to put yourself in a better spot, because if you're not part of the problem, you can be part of the solution. You can buy things cheap when we're all the way down and it looks awful. And by the way, crypto's starting to look like cigarette butts on the sidewalk. Not quite yet. I think we've got, don't listen to me on any kind of investment advice. I'm awful with timing. But it looks like crypto is going to get cheaper, and that might be the buying opportunity of a lifetime. Bitcoin could very well go to 500,000. And so, but I mean, a gallon of milk could go to $100 too. I'm just saying we're going to be getting into some interesting opportunities for buying things that like the aluminum thing I talked about last. They're shutting the plants off and aluminum prices are going down. So the supply and prices are down. Whenever they get to the bottom, it might be a really, really good time to start to buy as they stimulate again after they crash the economy. So try to keep all those factors in your mind as this thing starts to crumble. That's what I do. And, hard cash right now. Create a side hustle. Start piling it up. Get some physical precious metals. That's not the accurate price, but it's close, and we can beat anybody's price. 90% of the time, maybe more. It's very unusual that somebody beats us, so give us a shot at it. My wife's a broker for Miles Franklin. Sorry, guys. I'm still struggling getting over the woohoo bat flu. My wife's a broker for Miles Franklin, and we'll help you any way we can. And if you're into rolling your IRA over into a self-directed, you can actually put your IRA into physical precious metals and vault it. That's, to me, having a little bit of precious metals in a time like this is just a no-brainer. I mean, if you go back to what happened in the last hyperinflation in, I can't think of the name, Venezuela? I think it's Venezuela. Gold in 2017 went from 11,500 to 300 million in 2018 in 1 year. They have a different currency than us, I get it, but it always does good in volatile environments. So I'm starting to ramble. I just wanted to fill you in on these debtors that don't pay is going to crash the system even faster. So get ready and brace for impact, and have an awesome, awesome day. Later.